stay with me. I want to bring in Mark Rash into the conversation, former computer forensic analyst. And Mark, you just saw Ted's reporting. I mean, it's just pretty incredible. Most people sort of had dismissed this out of hand. They said to us, why do you want to do this investigation? Of course those phones will be ruined. But obviously they're able to get this off. They're confident. So what else do you think they're going to be able to find? You think they'll be able to get all the text messages, everything?
Well, the first thing is whether or not there are actually any text messages on the phones, and that has to do a lot with what happened on the plane. If the phones were on and they were running and people were sending text messages, even if they couldn't hit a cell tower, then that'll be stored on the phone, and those might be able to be retrieved depending on a lot of environmental conditions.
And Ted, let's talk about those environmental conditions, because we just saw in your piece there the corrosion on the phone, which was pretty substantial. Were you able to get everything off that you sent, and in particular some of the last things that you sent off?
Everything that we put on the phone, they were able to get out, except for the video was a little bit grainy in portions. It wasn't the complete video, but everything that we put on, basically, they were able to retrieve. They were also able to retrieve 85% of the things that we thought we had erased going back. This was an old phone from a CNN colleague that was used for years. They were able to get all of that information as well. It's really incredible. If you think about it, Aaron, potentially there are hundreds of these cell phones from passengers and crew from Flight 370. They're almost like little mini black boxes if they can be found.
All right, it's incredible, Mark. I mean, that's 239 pieces of crucial data. Let me ask you this, Mark. Is there a way to track down where the plane is through these cell phones? Because if it is at the bottom of the ocean, down 3 miles, and you have all these phones with all this data, 239 phones, probably a lot more than that. A lot of people probably have more than one. And they're down there. Could they find them now?
Well, you can't use the phones to find the plane, but you can use the phones to find out where the plane was once you've recovered the phone. The problem with the phones were, while they were on the plane, there was no place for them to communicate with. And right now at the bottom of the ocean, presumably where they are, there's nothing for them to communicate with either.
So you're saying you couldn't, put a ship like the Ocean Shield on the surface with some kind of a tower to try to find those phones now?
Right. The batteries are long dead, and they're not transmitting even if they were on at the time. They've been long dead.
But you will be able to get a flight path, because you're saying you can sort of backtrack once you do the analysis that Ted just went through.
What you might be able to do is, once you get the phone, if the phone was on, it would have been receiving a GPS signal from satellites in space. That means it knows where it was. If you can tell where the phone was, you can tell where the plane was before it crashed.